increase the sales price.
Now, we know that real estate agents or brokers are involved with this process, but all of a sudden it seems like there's quite a bit of interest in a need for having a lawyer involved. Why?
Exactly. With short sales, it's a legal transaction. And anytime there's a legal transaction, it involves paperwork, it involves contracts, it involves tax issues. You absolutely need to speak with an attorney because there could be legal ramifications. For instance, what happens to the balance that's not paid on a mortgage? I alluded to that earlier with foreclosures. It's a deficiency balance. What does that mean? Some people don't know what that means. What about tax issues? You may even want to speak to a tax attorney or a CPA. Real estate agents aren't equipped to give you that information, and nor should they. But it's always advisable to get an attorney, and in fact the attorney will be paid and can be paid from the mortgage company provided you have a buyer and there's a short sale that goes through, just like a real estate agent will be paid from the bank/mortgage company. But you absolutely want to get independent advice. And most lawyers will give that advice to you for free consultation.
That's good to know.
Exactly. Yeah.
I understand real estate agents are equipped to give you sources of information, but when it comes to the legal portion of it,
Yes.
you're saying that's where
Yes.
an attorney comes into play. At what point does the attorney have to come into play? Do you get the real estate broker involved first, or the lawyer, or together?
I think it could be done simultaneously. You first want to know what your rights are. Then you want to speak to a real estate agent. So speak with a lawyer and speak to a real estate agent. Determine if it's in your best interest to proceed with a short sale. I work alongside of a couple of real estate agents in the area. Some of these short sales that are subject to approval are requesting what I called earlier as a net sheet. In other words, it's like a settlement sheet when you close on a loan. What is going to be the short sale payoff, or not the payoff, what's going to be the amount going to the mortgage company or the mortgage companies? What about closing costs? What about the attorney fee? What about the realtor's commission and any other costs that may arise in a typical closing? For instance, tax stamps, the cost to prepare a deed. So they want a net sheet. They want to see what is actually going to be the net loss that's going to the mortgage company, because it's going to be a loss. It's going to be a loss.
Now, you're an attorney with a practice that's based in East Providence. You serve that Rhode Island, also southeastern Massachusetts. Is there any different from state to state when it comes to short sales?
There isn't any difference, but I think what people should know is right now short sales, it's the popular thing to do. And short sales arose because of the depreciating real estate market. As a result of that, Congress passed what's called the Mortgage Forgiveness Debt Relief Act of 2007. Federal law, so it applies in every state. Okay? What that basically means is if the house is sold at a loss, that means that you have a deficiency balance on a loan, that your debt would be forgiven by the federal government and there would be no tax ramification. Simply put, if a lender forgives a debt, okay, if a lender forgives a debt, that means by law they have to send a notice to the federal government, i.e. the IRS, and the notice is in the form of a 1099, which is a 1099-C, I believe. It's a debt cancellation notice that goes to the IRS, and of course it has to go to the borrower. When a debt is canceled, the IRS, no free lunch with the IRS. When a debt is canceled, that means it's taxable income. So it's taxed in the same way that your salary would be taxed. So if you owe a deficiency balance of $20,000, the mortgage company forgives it, pursuant to this Mortgage Relief Act, you as the homeowner are not subject to taxation. But there's a catch to that. It has to be a debt forgiven for a mortgage on your principal residence. It cannot be for investment property because that doesn't apply.
So if it were an investment property, you would get a 1099 and you do have to pay,
report it.
And you do have to pay taxes. You're an attorney, not a tax accountant. Whose responsibility is it to tell that seller that there's some tax liability or there isn't tax liability? responsibility is that?
Well, I think the seller, homeowner, they need to speak with an accountant. They need to speak with a CPA. And if a CPA is familiar with this Mortgage Forgiveness Debt Relief Act, they'll get the information they need. And I also want to point out that this Debt Relief Act is good until 2012. So if anybody has a short sale, from now until 2012, the debt cancellation, if the lender forgives the debt, would not be subject to taxation. You still have to report it on your income, but there's this particular form I believe you need to fill out. I think it's a form, IRS Form 982. This information is very easy to find on irs.gov, and it explains the legalities of the Mortgage Forgiveness Debt Relief Act.
Good information. When we were talking about foreclosure and auctions last week, one of the issues came up is the caveat emptor, buyer beware, and I made some reference to, gee, you found a great house, then you find out after you buy it that it doesn't have a toilet, and those kinds of scams.
That could be a problem.
That's a problem.
Yeah.
What kinds of scams or things go on that you could give us a little bit of insight about when it comes to this new business, apparently, that's called the short sale?
Well, I can tell you right off the bat, anybody contacting you or soliciting a homeowner that claims they're a short sale specialist and requires an upfront fee, buyer beware, caveat emptor. As I said earlier, if it's going to be a realtor, the realtor does get paid from the closing, and it comes out of the mortgage, the payoff proceeds, or whatever the proceeds are, the closing proceeds. Anybody that is specializing in this, you want to ask them a few questions.
Such as?
Such as, and this is true for realtors. You know what a short sale package is. You want to make sure that you are hiring a realtor, and if you're hiring a lawyer, you want to make sure that they know what a short sale package is. And there are real estate agents in Rhode Island, there are some very good ones out there, that specialize in short sales. They actually help you facilitate the short sale process. They'll give you the package, they'll help you fill out the paperwork. An attorney can do this as well. But anybody knocking on your door telling you that I can help you out of this debt, you don't need to deal with the bank, again, caveat emptor. What's the old saying? If it's too good to be true?
It's true. It's
Yeah.
a problem.
Yeah.
For the do-it-yourselfer, is it possible to get that short sale package online, perhaps?
You want to contact the mortgage company first. Online does make it easier, and I'm sure the mortgage company could possibly tell you where you can go on their website to download it. But you want to have one-on-one contact with the bank, because every time you contact a bank, or any lender for that matter, even a credit card company, anytime you contact them personally, they notate your account. So you want some notations in the account that there has been communication, because when you do give that communication, they may suspend your collection activity for a period of time. They may even suspend a foreclosure or delay it, postpone it for a period of time. So you have to have that one-on-one contact, because if you do nothing, all they're going to do is continue to call.
Now, in earlier times we talked about collections, and obviously there are times when you may get involved with that. Is this an occasion where a lawyer could weigh in on behalf of that seller, or on behalf of that person who has a problem with the lender, and perhaps negotiate better for them, a different deal, a different program of financing or refinancing instead of the short sale? Is that a worthwhile thing?
In the past, I've done that. This is before short sale became a common household word, and we could achieve transfer of title to a lender. If somebody's in a financial situation, one of the ways we would do is, one of the things I would have done is, instead of a foreclosure, seek something called a deed in lieu of foreclosure. So, whereby you avoid the embarrassment of a foreclosure, having it listed in the paper, and someone planting a flag on your front lawn saying auction today. A deed in lieu of foreclosure, actually, you're signing over title to the mortgage company without the need for a foreclosure. That's something that I would do in a foreclosure situation. In a short sale situation, the attorney can do the same, but you still have to go through the process whereby the short sale package needs to be received by the lender. They need to review information. You have to provide a market analysis that shows what the amount of debt that's due on the home, and copies of any mortgage statements if there are subsequent lenders. But an attorney can help you with that. The the concern I have with someone going to an attorney